Every brand tells a story. And they are the storytellers. The Sutradhars. They present a brand with band, baja and barat to you. They are the Brandwalas. She heads marketing for the India unit of one of the oldest and most respected names in the global automotive lubricant industry, Ipshita Chowdhry, Vice President Marketing at Valvoline Cummins Pvt. With nearly 2 decades of experience, she has been building brands across telecom, technology, automobile and FMCG categories for Philips, Nokia, Microsoft, Maruti Suzuki and ITC, among others. At Valvoline, Ipshita drives integrated marketing initiatives that strengthen the brand's legacy as the original engine oil. She is our Brandwala.
One of the very important target audiences for me is the influencer, and the influencer in my case is the mechanic. Any campaign to move the needle has to tug at your heart. You have to move some emotion. I and my team have the power to influence decision making.
You're watching the Brandwalas. I'm Krishnakumar and we are in conversation with Ipshita Chowdhry, Vice President Marketing of Valvoline Cummins India Limited. Ipshita, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on the Brandwalas. I'm going to begin by asking a very basic question, as I always do. How do you market something like, it's called engine oil in common terminology, although the technical term is fuel oil. So you sell engine oils and engine lubricants, which is used, it is so ubiquitous, it's used by one and all. How do you market something like that? What is the communication strategy? Who exactly is your target consumer?
It's not a product that's visible to you, right?
Yeah.
It's called, in our category, we call it the under the hood product.
Yeah.
But at the same time, everybody is using it, and it's like it's running the heart of your vehicle, whether it's your car, whether it's your bike or your truck or your tractor. You cut across all segments, right? So it runs the heart of your engines. Who's your target audience? Very interesting, because target audience for me is, it's multi-layered. You have the end consumer, people like you and me,
yeah,
who own cars, who own bikes. We get our car serviced, we get our bike serviced, we need an engine oil replacement, right? At the same time, one of the very important target audiences for me is the influencer, and the influencer in my case is the mechanic. It is essentially the mechanic who's actually keeping the vehicles going. They keep our world running because they are the ones who are actually fueling this entire, servicing of your vehicles. They're ensuring that your vehicles are in shape for you to do your job, for you to get your business, for you to run everything.
So your main target audience is the mechanic?
Absolutely. They're very, very critical for us.
If I were to ask you a percentage of your audience, would you say it's like 80-20 mechanic and final consumers?
Mechanic will definitely be 60. Definitely 60-70%.
60
yes,
to 70%.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Very critical for us to get the loyalty, the recommendation of the mechanic. Especially when you are a brand that's starting up in the category. For you to get the recommendation of the consumer, the mechanic has to recommend you. He has to talk about your brand to the end consumer. Only then the end consumer will know about you. Because it's not a category which is very high on involvement for the consumer, right? So the mechanic, my channel, my influencers become very, very important. So workshops, working with the independent workshops on the roadsides, working with those mechanics, taking care of them, I think that becomes very critical for us.
Yeah, interesting. I was just thinking, how often do people go and say, I want this brand of engine oil or this brand of lubricant to be used in my vehicle?
Just about 30%. So research says that just about 30 to 35% of consumers actually go and ask for a brand.
For a specific brand of engine oil.
Brand of engine oil. The rest is, you say that, get my oil changed, or at max, people will know about, consumers will know about full synthetic versus a regular mineral oil. That kind of differentiation people have now because people are getting more evolved in the category.
There's generally more awareness.
There's generally more awareness about the category that synthetic oils are better, they make your car work better. So that kind of differentiation exists, but brand is very less. So that's where your mechanic kind of comes into the play.
Can you tell us, what is that one marketing campaign or brand campaign that that you worked on, that you sort of thought hit the nail on the head?
Yeah, I think in our category, at the end of the day, I truly believe that any campaign to move the needle has to tug at your heart. You have to move some emotion, right? For any marketing to be effective. You can be very transactional in your approach, but that won't give you the kind of brand scores or the brand preferences and the loyalty that you're looking for. I think the one that's very close to my heart and is again linked to mechanics. Every year we run March, the month of March, as the International Mechanics Month, wherein we'll go out and all forms of media and touch points are activated. As employees also, we go out in the field. Each one of us from Valvoline Cummins, we go out, we thank our mechanics. We kind of celebrate them. So it's a month of celebration of mechanics. We activate radio, we activate digital, television, we go out on ground. And I think the theme of the campaign is mechanics keep your world moving. So I think that really tugs at your heart because you're telling everybody that, hey, these are the guys who are working in the background. They're working day and night, but they are the ones who are actually keeping your world running. So let's go and thank them. I think that's a campaign that we've worked very meaningfully and with all our heart. We also go and we run programs on educational programs, upskilling programs for mechanics. We go and talk about those. Product becomes incidental in that campaign, and that's very nice. You just go and express your gratitude to the community.
For all marketers, there will be those all-time great classic advertisements that sort of inspires them even today in their daily work. What would be yours exactly? What is that? Maybe it could be a TV advertisement or another kind of a marketing campaign. What exactly inspires you?
Yeah, I think two come to my mind and all-time favorites. And I think as a marketer, you're always learning. I think one is a very traditional one. I think globally, I think Nike as a brand, what they have been doing consistently through their campaigns, where I think the proof of great marketing is where the product is incidental. And you are just selling a story, you're marketing, talking to your consumers repeatedly and working with them in the story of their lives. And I think that's where Nike does an excellent job in working with athletes, in celebrating them and only talking about athletes and their performances, their challenges, their struggles, and that's where the brand fits in. I think it's very classic. It again hits emotions, it moves the needle, product is incidental. Locally, if I were to say...
And what a tagline, just do it.
Yeah, so simple. It's so simple, and the beauty about Nike, and I talk about it, is that any part of the world you go to Australia, go to US, you come to India, you go to China, anywhere if you talk to what the brand stands for, you will get very similar reactions. And I think that's the greatness of a brand, wherein you are, you cut across. Locally, I think a campaign that's really inspired me was a few years ago, a brand called Playbook. When they launched, I just felt it was an amazing launch. And they again tugged on an insight around nostalgia. They targeted people who were traveling on work, and I think that their first partnership was with Indigo Airlines, wherein they introduced their products. It was about drinks and memories. Such a simple insight, such a simple human insight. And then they tailor-made their products on that insight. So I thought it was a great example of bottom-up, working with a human insight and then delivering all aspects of marketing around it. So I think these two stand out for me.
Interesting, from an athleisure brand to a consumable brand, but very different from what you actually market exactly.
Yeah.
Tell us, Ipshita, what according to you is currently the big buzz as far as the world of advertising and branding and marketing is concerned?
I think there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise, there's a lot of clutter, there's a lot of...
I'm using the word buzz in a very positive frame actually over here.
Yeah. No, I think, and I think that's where we need to, be discreet between what's actually meaningful in terms of buzz and what's just the noise that is keeping people busy. I just feel somewhere we need to get that balance right. Right? Buzz definitely, in a very positive manner, is how technology is, changing the paradigm. We all know the power of, AI. How it is impacting us. Obviously, it's impacting us in a very big way, because what it does is it democratizes the power of communication to many people. And it also shifts the power from the brand to consumers in a way. So I think it's a very serious shift if you look at it, if it's happening. But I'm just wary of the frivolous way maybe it may just be getting talked about. So I would say that that's a big thing. Content in terms of vernacular, being local, being relevant, I think that's a very important trend, which a lot of marketers...
Hyper-localization.
Absolutely, hyper-localization. How can I be equally relevant to you versus somebody in a completely different context, but your needs could be similar? How can I customize myself? How can I become so locally relevant to you? I think that's one thing, and that there is a very interesting interplay of technology there as well, because eventually you'll use technology to get there. I think
only technology is the only thing you can use to
absolutely
get there.
Because I think I remember when we started out marketing, we would talk about one-on-one direct marketing. You remember those days? Wherein direct marketing used to be a subject in what we used to be taught. That's over, because technology doesn't, that gives you that empowerment to go and talk in a very, very hyper-local manner. I think those are good ones. Noise will keep happening. I think a lot of people will do what they're doing, but I think there's a lot of positive impact technology is having on marketing.
What, according to you, is overhyped in the world of advertising, branding and marketing, and hence is quite blah, actually?
I think overhyped, I think some fads keep coming and going.
If I were to ask you the one thing which you think is like, so much of gyan is given about it, it's so overhyped, but you think is like actually quite meh, if I may.
I don't know. I think moment marketing.
Okay.
That's something that everybody jumps onto, right?
Especially on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, we all want to give our own, obviously, take. Rightly so. I mean, it's a democratic platform. But I think
I feel you, what you mean.
And which is all right. But I think sometimes, let's be a little bit more discreet about, how it may be. Maybe do a checklist on relevance sometimes.
And sensitivity as well.
And sensitivity, and I think, and you raise a very important point. I think more and more we get things like technology. I think somewhere we lose that human touch also. We lose that empathy, that ability to be, sensitive towards, people around us, communities around us, being inclusive. And I think one can be a little more rational about. We don't have to jump onto everything that's coming up and have a point of view. Sometimes it's okay to not have a point of view also, I believe. It's a global brand, 166 years old. So we were the first ones to actually, get in the first branded motor oil, engine oil in the world. We have a big B2B part of the business as well, right? We work with big businesses. We have big clients. And I think their innovation, thought leadership becomes very important.
is the one thing about your job that you love the most? The one thing that really gets you, keeps you going on a day-to-day basis, that makes you want to wake up and come to work. What is that one thing about your job?
I think, and very fortunately for me, that the one thing has remained consistent over the last 2 decades that I've been working is the innate sense of responsibility that I get every day, that I and my team have the power to influence decision making, to influence consumers' mind, to influence consumers' mind meaningfully and impactfully.
Okay.
I think that one thing as a marketer, because keeps me going, because I do feel a big sense of responsibility as somebody who goes and markets something, goes and tells a story. How authentic I am with my story, how real I am I being very truthful, realistic in what I'm telling in terms of my story? And it could be irrespective of category or brands that I've worked on. I think it's that innate sense of responsibility. It's a very serious job. Yes, there's a lot of fun and a lot of glamour around it, but I think at the end of the day, it's a very serious business because you're impacting decisions.
What is the one thing about your job that you don't like at all? The one thing about your job that you detest the most? I hate using the word hate, so yeah. I'm just going to say, the one thing about your job that you just don't look forward to at all.
I think, I don't like the word hate as well, but I don't know. I think sometimes, I don't know how to put it, but yeah, I think sometimes things may get a little bit repetitive of what you want to do. You want to do things differently, but sometimes you get pulled into being in the safe zone.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you know what I mean. And there are a lot of elements that perhaps influence you. So I think I sometimes don't like the fact that sometimes you have to get back. You want to innovate. Yeah, you're hemmed in. You want to do a lot of things. You want to maybe do things differently, but sometimes you have to. But it's okay. I think I do understand. It's a balance.
Is it a factor that what you are marketing that sort of restricts your ability to experiment and be bold?
No, I think it's a combination of things, not just what you are marketing, but what are your realities at that point in time? Is the market conducive to what you are thinking? Are you a little ahead of the time? Maybe you want to do something good, but at that point in time, the context perhaps is not correct.
Okay.
So I think a lot of those factors come in, and then you have to and I think that's where experience comes in. Because you then dial into your experience and kind of think that maybe your intuition maybe helm it a bit and go with your experience, and maybe gut can come in a little later. I think those kind of things impact that.
How does it typically work when you're creating that TV advertisement? What happens, say, for example, last time around, how does the process go for you? You're selling engine oil, so I'm guessing the pitches can't be too wild, but at the same time, there is a lot of room for experimentation as well. So can you give us a sneak peek into what goes behind closed doors when you arrived at your last TV advertisement or campaign?
And I think it's so exciting all the time.
Okay.
Because as you rightly said, because we work with a lot of creative people. There's a lot of good creative agencies we work with, and everybody wants to have fun. Everybody wants to do something different.
Okay.
Bring in a new flavor, and it's always welcome. I think what goes on is again that push and pull, that your rational side and your emotional side, you have to kind of balance that. And what helps is that when you get in different people in the room, different stakeholders, and get different inputs, because that helps you kind of balance it out with the agency, with the creative folks, because we all want to do outstanding work, but then that outstanding work has to work for business. We can never lose that side.
Fair enough. I was asking because, say maybe a tagline or something that you came up with. Can you give us an idea of how it worked exactly? Did you actually come up with a tagline and tell the agency, or they got it to you or something?
No, they get it. It's like, our brand theme doesn't change. We are the original engine oil. That's what we stand for.
The original engine oil.
So that's Valvoline. It's a global brand, 166 years old. So we were the first ones to actually, get in the first branded motor oil, engine oil in the world.
And supplied to the Ford
yeah,
Model
absolutely.
T.
The first Ford car ran on Valvoline. So that's the heritage, that's the legacy.
Yeah.
We work on that only with all our campaigns. And
the first and the original.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that gives us a lot of responsibility, as a brand, because we have to stay true to that philosophy.
How exactly do you use and leverage social media? What does a brand that is an engine oil brand look for in different platforms, and how does it market itself across different social media platforms? I'm sure your strategy for say Facebook or Meta is very different from your strategy for YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I'll start with LinkedIn because we have a big B2B part of the business as well, right? We work with big businesses. We have big clients, and I think their innovation thought leadership becomes very important. Because we are the original engine oil, there are a lot of firsts that we have done throughout our history and our journey. Keeping those credentials, contemporized through LinkedIn, constantly talking about our corporate brand, our corporate philosophy. I think LinkedIn we use more from that perspective. What we are doing for communities, for example. We run very, very meaningful CSR programs around education, around sustainability. So keeping those ideas going on LinkedIn, I think we use that. From a consumer point of view, if I look at Facebook, is the mass platform. We are now getting more into things like Instagram and YouTube.
I want to ask you that you marketing engine oils on Instagram.
It's very interesting because we use these platforms for education. Like you rightly said, it's something that is so essential, but you don't really know much about it. You don't really know that if it's monsoon, if it's raining, and your car needs a particular servicing at that point in time, maybe the kind of oil that you need is different. If you're going in very extreme cold conditions versus hot condition, maybe the kind of
oil you use is completely different.
Is different. The kind of coolant that you will put in, the kind of products that you will put in will be different. So that education piece is very nascent. There are a few enthusiasts. Obviously, if you talk to the biking enthusiasts, they will know everything about it. But regular consumers like you and me may not know. So I think we use these platforms to put in these short educative nuggets about your vehicle, about car maintenance, bike maintenance, what you can do. So do's, don'ts, tips and tricks. I think education is something that we do via these platforms.
Where do you see the future of marketing?
We are at a very, very interesting space, and like you rightly said, gone are the days wherein you come in, you just show some fancy visuals, fancy videos, and you say, hey, my awareness has gone up from X to Y, my preference has gone up, my equity has gone up, and done. I think accountability is increasing, which is great. Because eventually I think we are moving into a world wherein every dollar that you spend has to be accountable, has to move the business. And a lot of organizations are actually calling this role now the Chief Growth Officer. Because you are accountable for delivering that growth. Because obviously there is one level of hygiene growth which will come from your distribution, your sales operations, your sales excellence. But the long-term growth, the growth over the next 5 years, 6 years, 10 years will come from your marketing strategies. So I think that's how the role of the marketer, I think accountability is increasing, more business responsibility, not just showcase nice fancy content and get away. Get numbers, get P&L accountability. I think all those things are coming in. In our roles, for example, here, very, very accountable, me and my team, in terms of delivering the P&L of our categories, of our segments. So I think from that perspective, it's very interesting and it's rightly so. And I think marketing is also getting its rightful seat on the table, because at the end of the day, the consumer insight rests with marketing. So anything that's happening in the category, in the market, with competition, with the consumer, the insight rests here. So it has to be then driven by this function, and which I think is the trend that you are seeing.
Okay, I was also asking in the context of technology as well, because going forward, it was not like once upon a time you had to wait for that agency to come and visualize something for you. You can actually come up with 5 options yourself and then give that to the agency to develop further.
Absolutely, develop, and I think it's making us faster, or not just develop, even testing. I remember when we used to create content earlier, we would take months to test a concept. That whole life cycle has shortened. You can quickly do some testing on digital, use technology, get a panel digitally, and just move on, A/B testing, and go on and move on. I think all those things are making, I think what is required is, especially also in the agencies, a gap that I see is that bridging the gap between traditional and digital has not happened in the agencies at the rate that it needs to happen. I still see silos coming in from agencies. There's a team which will come for traditional, and I'm talking about both creative and media. Okay. Even media plan, there'll be one guy who will come present your traditional media plan, one guy will come present digital media plan. I want to see a holistic,
symbiotic.
Absolutely, a one plan for my consumer and for my objective. I think that's where a lot of work needs to happen.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Ipshita, thank you so much for talking to us here on the Brand Wireless.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.